Pleasure to be here and talk to you today about Coppernico Metals. It's been some time since we split Oren, and today I'm going to talk about the modified business plan, and I'm going to give you updates on where it is and when it might come back to trade to the market. But ultimately, we've changed the scope of what we're going to do here. We're going to add more to Sombrero to give more opportunities for shareholders as we enter what we think will be one of the most aggressive bull markets in commodities in the coming years. A lot of my comments will be forward-looking just because most of these statements are what's going to happen next. So just a bit of history on who we are. We found a big gold mine in Ghana. The stock went from 50 cents to $9 per share. We tried to do it again with Caden in Mexico. We sold the company in 2015. We are a discovery-focused group because that kind of share price return is what we're after. What's changed since these two companies is the scale of what we're going to go chase. We're able to do this for a few reasons. I'll talk about in just a minute, but let's talk first. I'm going to point out how Coppernico was created. On the back of those two successes, we created Oren Resources. We raised over $150 million, and we found copper, gold, and silver opportunities in one company. We speculated that the gold market and metals market would pick up. Fundamentally, we were right. It hasn't picked up in the actual sentiment in equities yet. So we spun out two companies, Tier 1 Silver, as well as Coppernico Metals, and we converted Oren Resources to Fury Gold Mines. If you owned one share of Oren, you now have 2.67 shares across the portfolio. We're going to look to repeat this, but instead of spinning our company out and splitting it to create new companies, we're going to look to spin and sell, much like we did with Fury and the Homestake Ridge project. We want to find a way to self-finance or reward shareholders with dividends of transactions along the way as we go look for these major deposits. Our management team, it's led by myself as CEO, Chief Geologist Michael Henriksen. Tim Kingsley is the most recent addition as VP of Exploration. Best part about Tim and I, besides his impressive technical background and expertise, is the first thing he said to me was, I don't want to drill projects 50 meters away from mineralization. I want to drill 500 meters away from mineralization. He likes very big things as well, and that's where we sync extremely well. We've added Margot Viapando to our Manager Investor Relations, so we're staffing up and we're getting ready to be a very public and listed company to take on these projects. Our technical team all comes from majors, and what I'm showing you here now is a map of the countries that have intrigued us for interest to add assets. Panama, Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru have some of the largest mines in the world. That's what we're looking to do here. Sombrero is our flagship, but we've identified in these very challenging resource markets some incredible opportunities, and we believe we find the right ones, we can also bring capital towards them as we come back to market. In terms of copper, I'm not going to belabor the demand. This chart is worth a million words. You know, there's a huge supply issue coming. The world is going electric to a much greener planet than it's been before, and we're running out. Copper is probably the #1 anticipated commodity to perform over the next 50 years because of the challenge of finding these big projects. So right now we have two projects. We have the Sombrero flagship, and we also have Tacana, another district they're both highly underexplored. Sombrero is an analog to Las Bambas, the 9th largest producing copper company in the world by terms of early stage exploration. It's also highly underexplored and located on a very prolific mining environment. Tacana is just slightly north of Sombrero. Robust surface expressions, multi-kilometer trends, copper, nickel, and gold are the focus there. But again, it meets the size criteria that we're looking for and enjoying in Sombrero. Just a reminder on Sombrero and why we like it so much. If you look at big projects and you want big things, the first challenge we have to look at besides social is infrastructure. And Sombrero's best with some of the best infrastructure I've seen on an exploration project, to the point that the government built power lines right over top of our project since we've owned our claims. To get here, it's an easy flight from Lima to Ayacucho. It's about a 55-kilometer paved road, and there's towns nearby, water, access is perfect. Now, how was this found? There was an erosional window, as I'm showing you in this image here. This erosional window, what you can see in green is what's called volcanic and quaternary cover. A volcano erupted, it covered the ground with ash, and then over time, erosion took place, and you can see the grades that were being found in those erosional areas. Now, if you look on the next slide here, of all the areas that are green, and there's very few areas that are pink. The pink areas are the exposed intrusions. Those host some of the world's largest mines, including Las Bambas, a very profitable mine in Tintaya, Antacapai, Los Chancas. But on the left side of this image is predominantly green. The government and several major mining companies have actually surveyed this ground before us, and they thought the ground was younger because of the green volcanic cover, so they overlooked Sombrero. We were the first to identify that erosional window and go in here and look for the opportunity to find what's next door. The numbers that you see there next to all of these mines is the age of when they occurred. Sombrero occurred at the same time frame as Las Bambas and all of these major mines next door, building the case for a world-class potential discovery as I'm advertising here. What you're looking on these two slides, we can put magnetic currents and electrical currents into the ground to reflect off copper, gold. It will reflect clay, it will reflect water as well. And what gave us a lot of confidence here outside of the 10 kilometers of targets that sit on these two images, which also have surface copper and gold to go with it, is a drill hole drilled in our Furaso target by an iron ore company that was actually looking for iron, and copper causes problems if you're trying to mine iron. So what they hit was 100 plus meters of 0.58% copper gold equivalent. That's the right grade. It's right beside a trench of 230 meters of 0.5% copper. That's high grade. But it confirmed the signature for 10 kilometers to be the same of targets, which is massive. This is what the core looked like. When we put out these pictures of this core, it disproved the theory that that signal was being given off by clay or water, and gave us the confidence that we are looking for the right things here. You're seeing oxide copper in the top portion of the hole. You're seeing that black rock with gold. That's chalcopyrite. This is when it was 6 of the largest mining companies in the world started paying real serious attention, looking for CAs, signing CAs, and coming after us to possibly invest into our company. Now, if that wasn't enough, Mother Nature's been very kind. She has carved a huge canyon here. This is 400 meters from top to bottom. You're looking at a nice skarn body with mining adits that go into it. Beside it and on top of it, we've sampled incredibly high-grade copper and gold. Why this is important is that previous slide where I showed you 10 kilometers of targets that has a drill hole and a fingerprint of a big system. This is what we believe we're potentially standing upon. It gives us the depth extent of 400 meters, and we might be looking at a potential major deposit. On the image in the top left here, that yellow and reddish color that you see, that's endoskarn and exoskarn. That's where we think in red, the high-grade mineralization is going to occur. In yellow, the lower disseminated mineralization is going to occur. And in the middle of that is an intrusion. The reason why I'm showing you this slide is there's a mine next door called Tintaya. A nice big pink ore body that's been drilled and eventually became a hole in the ground. We're not saying we hope we have a similar thing. We're saying we think we have a similar discovery as to the mines next door by showing you direct comparisons to some of the major mines nearby and how much they stack up towards each other. Now, this is the part where it gets interesting, because this has been the challenge for us to get there, is getting social access to this project. It is predominantly mining-friendly people. There's a small proportion of anti-miners. We have taken an approach that's the most aggressive we know of in South America by commitment to provide agricultural, various social, as well as helped out during COVID to provide these communities with much needed nutrition by bringing in Australian lambs, French cows, fish farms, helping them cultivate the meat, also bringing in tons of agriculture. We've expanded that to a $4 million agricultural program that we're sponsoring right now. We're just getting approved 2 programs worth about $300,000 US each from the government. That's going to go towards the communities. And this has been an incredible initial move of goodwill to get into the right books with these communities. And we're starting to get an incredible response from the majority of the communities. So what's the next step? Well, we've had access before in our Huancasancos community. It stands for renewal. We do have a meeting at the end of this month to see if we can move forward with it. And Lucanamarca, we've achieved an agreement to move ahead. We're just waiting to negotiate the final terms of how much we pay them this year. We're very confident that we could get this moved ahead sometime this summer. We don't want to be specific because it's a sensitive topic and it's not on our timeline. It's on the timeline of these communities, but we remain very optimistic. Tacana is a bit north of Las Bambas, same environment of the large discoveries. This is an earlier stage project. What drew us here was the incredible big 2 and 4 kilometer trends of high grade copper, nickel, and platinum palladium prospects. Grade is important to us, and so is scale. We've made advancements here with the communities. We don't have access yet. This is not a substitute of Sombrero. This is us adding more so we can offer more to shareholders as we move ahead. So, investors, and I know a lot of you watching this presentation, sitting in this room, fall into this category. You are some of the best investors in the world. You've learned a new level of patience, and I'll couch what you're waiting for and why at the end of my presentation. But you're alongside Newmont, who bought in by taking over Goldcorp. You're alongside a major management ownership of 12.5% and some close associates that ranks with some of the best professional investors in exploration in the world. Our share structure is our strength, and it will really affect how we perform once we get our access and we get back to listing. To get listed, we need a property of merit, and we need to have access to the property of merit. We don't have that yet. We're working vigorously for it, and we think it comes sometime in this summer. That's our goal. But we're not relying on just Sombrero to give us the access. We've expanded our horizon, and it's titled on my slide here, Worth the Wait. That is exactly what it has to be. The wait's been almost a year and a half or 2 years for investors since we've spun it out of Oren. It's been 5 years of working in these communities in Peru. The scale of Sombrero, the opportunity of Sombrero is worth that wait. That's how big it is. That's how confident we are that it could be something substantial. What can we do for you while we wait for that to come online? We're going out to go find, in South America, properties of significant scale and merit that could rival Sombrero so that we can possibly either spin out and sell these transactions to pay you multiple times from your shares of Coppernico, or spin and sell out these assets to self-finance the company, possibly buy back shares. Everything we do is about share price performance. That's why we go after major projects. That's why we think this way. We are large shareholders, we behave like shareholders, and our listing updates are going to come more frequent. We've staffed up. We're looking at several additional projects. Sombrero might come together a lot quicker than we think, but if it doesn't, we have some other major projects on the horizon. This is a major commitment by all of us. We look forward to trading sometime later this year. Thank you all for your patience, and look forward to giving you guys updates as we get closer to listing. Thank you very much.